An Eastern Carolina man says the justice system failed him, leaving him to languish behind bars for nearly 6 years on serious rape and assault charges, never even having his case go to trial.
All of the felony counts were eventually dismissed. Tonight in a WITN First Alert investigation, how the case against him unfolded and the question that he and others still have about how something like this could happen. It is a lengthy list of serious charges, 17 in all, including first-degree rape, forcible sex offense, assault, and soliciting a prostitute. Major charges that could mean decades in prison if convicted. The person who faced those disturbing charges is this man, Kevin Smith of Craven County. At the time of his arrest in December of 2016, he had no criminal record and was working for the Department of Defense at Cherry Point with a top-secret security clearance. Prior to that, he was a middle school teacher.
My original assumption was this was all a mistake.
The case against Smith all started when he says he got caught in a prostitution sting at a Craven County hotel.
I will fully admit that I was in an unhappy marriage at the time of my arrest. I had been unfaithful to my wife.
That led to misdemeanor charges of soliciting a prostitute and obstructing justice. Smith expected to post a $5,000 bond and be released from jail, but he quickly learned otherwise. Craven County investigators added 2 first-degree rape charges and 2 charges of felony common law robbery for a total of 7 charges in Craven County.
I didn't get a lot of information about what was going on initially.
What was going on was that investigators had set up that sting looking for someone who was allegedly assaulting and raping prostitutes. And after his arrest, they believed that Smith was that person. The charges didn't stop there. Onslow County filed 10 charges against him, including rape and assault, bringing the total to 17. His bond? $5 million.
They didn't even give me names of alleged accusers.
John Legato is a retired special agent with the FBI who made a 23-year career of putting some of the worst people behind bars. He's also a lifelong family friend of Smith's. His reaction when he heard about the charges?
I immediately thought he was guilty. And that was the initial feeling, because in my world, if law enforcement accuses you of something, you did it.
But what happened next would set Legato and Smith on a nearly 6-year journey for justice.
I honestly thought I knew how the legal system worked when I got arrested. What I discovered was I knew how the legal system's supposed to work.
While Smith maintained he did not do any of the terrible things he was now accused of, getting his day in court to prove it would be elusive. Court documents show one continuance after another that Smith says were mostly by the prosecution. Then there was the difficulty in getting a public defender. He says 8 withdrew due to conflicts.
The conflicts were that they had been defense attorneys for the alleged victims in every case.
As his case dragged on, Smith says he was placed in isolation in the Craven County Jail.
I was in my jail cell for 48 hours at a time and then let out for 1 hour.
And he says that lasted for a year and a half when he was then offered a plea deal.
This is America. This is not how this is supposed to work. It should not be confess or we'll keep you in jail until you do. And for all intents and purposes, that's the system that was at work here.
Smith refused that deal and a second one that he says was offered by prosecutors months later.
I had told my lawyers the whole time I wasn't going to plead guilty to something I didn't do just so I could be released from jail. The day after I turned down that plea the second time, they took me out of isolation.
All the while, Legato was still trying to make sense of what was going on.
So as the case went on and on, I concluded, as he stayed in jail for years, that this is something like Iran or Turkey. I could not believe this was happening in the United States.
So why was Smith behind bars on that $5 million bond, accused of serious rape charges involving 5 alleged victims for 5 years and 9 months without a trial? And coming up tomorrow at 6, where the case went from there and what prosecutors from Craven and Onslow counties have to say about it all.